Hi, this is Emmanuel Sakamuta. In today's discussion, we are looking at research, that is, introduction to research. So, we're going to define what research is. Then, apart from that, we are also going to look at reasons why we should conduct research. And apart from that, we shall also look at some of the categories of research and the types of research. We'll look at that. So, by definition, research is simply the process of arriving at dependable solutions to problems. Research has been defined as the process of arriving at dependable solutions. So, meaning that there's a problem that has been observed, and in the quest to solve the problem, you seek to find solutions. And that's what research is all about. So, most of the researches that we conduct them in response to a problem that has been observed. So, there's a problem which needs attention, and therefore you carry out a research. Others have defined research as simply the systematic attempt to provide answers to questions. The systematic attempt to provide answers to questions that people have. So there are questions that need answers, and therefore those questions can only be well explained when you conduct a research. So research has also been defined as simply a systematic attempt to provide answers to questions that people have. Now, let's look at some of the reasons why we should conduct research. Number one, research should be conducted in order to provide answers to practical problems. So, the only way you can give accurate information, or the only way you can give accurate answers to practical problems, is when you conduct a research. Because when you conduct a research, you'll be able to come up with your findings, and you'll be able to answer questions that people have, and you'll be able to solve problems because you've conducted a research and you found out ways in which a problem uh, can be uh, I would say eradicated. So the only way you can provide accurate answers is when you conduct a research. So one of the reasons why we conduct research is because we want to provide answers to practical problems. And then apart from that, we conduct research in order to expand our knowledge base on a specific area. Okay. So in as much as you do your research, you're also, enriching yourself. You're also, you get to discover more information. You get to to increase your knowledge base. So conducting a research will help you to be able to expand your knowledge base on a specific area of your research. And then apart from that, it will also help you to gain familiarity with new insights into phenomena, to help you to familiarize yourself with new insights into certain happenings. And then apart from that, research will also help you to analyze the frequency with which something happens. So research will help you to look at the speed at which what you're investigating is taking place. So if there's a problem, we look at it. If, for example, if you're looking at a particular disease, the spread of a particular disease. So when you do a research, you know to say this particular disease is being spread at this pace. Why? Because you've done a research. So research helps you to understand and also to analyze the frequency at which something happens. And then apart from that, research helps us to to provide basis for policy formulation. So if you want to formulate, for example, policies, you need to conduct a research. So it is from the findings that you obtain from your research that you'll be able to come up with the effective policies that you can recommend to an organization or to the government. So by conducting a research, it will help certain organizations to be able to provide a basis for policy formulation. And these are some of the reasons as to why educational research, or research in particular, should be conducted, because it helps us to to have all those things that I've talked about. And then apart from that, we've got what we call um, categories of research. So categories of research, we've got two categories of research. We have what we call the basic research. We've also what we call um, applied research. So let's look at basic research so to understand what basic research is about. And then after that, we shall also look at applied research so to understand also what applied research is. Okay, so by definition, basic research is simply a research okay, that is driven purely by curiosity. It's driven purely by curiosity, and it's mostly conducted for, just you just want to to know something. For example, you're not interested in solving something, but you just want to know something. Okay, so it's purely driven by this desire to know something. So basic research does not solve any problem, but it just helps an individual to be able to expand their knowledge base, to be able to know what is happening, but it does not contribute to the body of knowledge. It's okay because its primary aim is just to make sure that an individual knows why something is happening. Okay, so we're also saying that this type of research tends not to tends not to be directly applicable to real life or to real world problems in a direct way, but it enhances our understanding of the world around us. Okay, so basic research basically is a inquiry aimed at increasing scientific knowledge and is driven purely by curiosity and a desire to expand our knowledge base. So let me give you an example. For example, we can have a situation where maybe in a home there's a father and a mother, and their children there. So, for example, the mother maybe is heading to the market, and this child comes and says and asks the mother a question to say, "Where are you going to?" And then the child say, and the mother says, "No, I'm going to the market." Okay, so that is a form of basic research because the child would want to know where the mother is going, but that does not solve any problem. Okay, so it aims at expanding someone's knowledge. They just want to know. Okay, they just want to have knowledge of why something is happening, or they just have like the example that I've given. The child wants to know where the mother is going to. Okay, but that does not contribute um, information to the existing body of knowledge. So basic research actually aims at expanding someone's knowledge. It aims at or it is driven purely by by curiosity, as earlier stated. So that's what basic research is about. And then apart from that, we also have what we call applied research. Now, applied research is one type of research that is used to answer specific problems or specific questions that have direct application to the world. So the applied research is this kind of research that we conduct in response to a problem and you'd want to solve the problem. So that is what you're calling as the applied research. So this type of research does solve a particular problem. This type of research does solve a particular problem. So applied research examines a specific set of circumstances, and its fundamental goal is linking the results to a particular situation. So that's what applied research is about. So applied research is this type of research that we conduct in order to solve or curb a particular problem that we have observed. So that is what applied research is about. So the difference between applied research and the basic research is that applied research aims at solving a problem, while a basic research does not aim at solving a problem, but rather to just increase your scientific knowledge. So that's what applied and basic research is about. And then apart from that, we also have what we call uh, components of research. So components of research, number one, it has to be systematic. A research should be systematic. So it tries to solve problems, whether social, economic, and cultural or health related, in a systematic way. So there should be a system that should be established in every research. And when we talk about the system, we're talking about the logical flow of elements or of something. So every research should be systematic. And apart from that, it should have objectives. Okay, it should be objective. So every research is expected to be objective. So it should have objectives that the research would want to achieve at the end of the research study. And then apart from that, it should be observable. Okay, it should be observable. Okay, or it should be observed. It should be based on observable experiences. So it demands observation and description, and that's what the research is about. And then apart from that, it has to employ uh, designed procedures and rigorous analysis. So there should be procedures that should be followed in a given research, okay, or in a research that you're conducting. There should be procedures that should be followed, and the process of data analysis, for example, it has to be clearly stated in the research. So these are some of the components of research, and then apart from that, we also have what we call types of research. Now, this is where people get it wrong because they confuse categories of research uh, with the approaches to research, or rather types of research. Now we want to have three approaches of research, approaches to research. Number one, we have what we call the qualitative research approach. And then number two, we have what we call quantitative approach to research, and then the other one is called the mixed approach to research. So we want to have three types of research, or three approaches to research. So number one, we've got what we call the qualitative research. Then number two, we've what we call the quantitative research, and the other one is the mixed one. So we are going to look at each one of them in a bit detailed manner. Okay, so when we talk about the qualitative research, we are simply talking about the research that deals with the phenomenon that are difficult to quantify. So it deals with phenomena that are difficult to quantify or impossible to quantify. So this type of research includes things like beliefs, meanings, attributes, or symbols, to mention a few. So you see, we are saying that qualitative research is one type of research that deals with happenings that you cannot quantify. For example, you cannot quantify beliefs, you cannot quantify meanings, you can't quantify those aspects. You can't express them in mathematical way or in a numerical manner. All what you can do is just to describe them, but you can't express them in numbers. That's what we mean by uh, quantifiable. They're non-quantifiable. It means they can't be expressed in numbers. Or what you can do is you can just give a description of it, but you can't actually use numbers to explain something, or to explain, let's say, qualitative research. You can do that, but it's more of a description. It's more of description. So qualitative research is anchored on description, because you're dealing with aspects that you cannot quantify. For example, also that we can give is beliefs, behaviors. You can't quantify behaviors. Okay, you can't quantify a behavior of someone. You can't. So that phenomenon cannot be quantified. Okay, so we use qualitative research in order to carry out things like that. Then apart from that, we have what another approach to research, which is quantitative. Okay, with the quantitative, which is simply the opposite of qualitative. So quantitative now here it deals with numerical description. So here it's more of numbers. We use numbers in order to 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 carry out the research, because it's quantifiable. So it covers a large. Another characteristic that you have to take into account is that it covers a large sample and not less than 50 respondents. So therefore, we are saying that qualitative research is that research which aims at collecting a large sample, and it shouldn't be less than 50. It has to be above that. It has to be above that. And then apart from that, it uses statistical methods of data analysis, and also it uses a number of research designs. It uses a number of research designs. So that's what quantitative research is about. So it's more of, or it's mathematical in nature. Okay, it's numerical in nature as well. Okay, so there's few description. Okay, the rest of it is just you have to play around with. You have to play around with mathematics for you to be able to carry out this kind of research. And then the last one is what we call the mixed approach. Now, the mixed approach is simply it combines the characteristics of qualitative research and the characteristics of quantitative research. So when you use both the characteristics of qualitative research and the characteristics of quantitative research, then what you're using is what you call the mixed approach, because you're mixing the two approaches to research, which is qualitative and quantitative. So when you mix them together, you come up with what you're calling as the mixed approach. So it possesses both the qualitative and quantitative features. So that's what mixed approach is about. Okay, so that is what we need to understand in this introduction to research. Now let's quickly look at some of the advantages of qualitative research or merits. Okay, so now we're saying qualitative research enables more complex aspects of a person's experience to be studied. Okay, so it helps us actually to understand and to study the complex part of a person. So, for example, you'd find that there's a limitation. If you have to use numbers, there's a limitation in to describing someone's behavior, for example. Okay, so but if you want to give full details about a certain behavior that you've observed in someone, it's better you do it in description, because when you describe something, using words, you'll be able to give more details as opposed to using numbers. So therefore, it helps us when you're carrying out the qualitative research to help us to be able to have complex aspects of a person which cannot be described using numbers. And apart from that, it has fewer restrictions or assumptions, okay, which are placed on the data to be collected. So there are fewer restrictions or assumptions. There are fewer uh, assumptions on the data uh, to be collected. And apart from that, qualitative research is advantageous because the participants are able to provide information in their own way, in their own words, and in their own way. So you'd find that they're able to describe, for example, if you give them a questionnaire, okay, where there's let's say a section where they need to fill in what they feel should be done in line with the research that you're conducting. So you'd find that there's no limitation to what they should write. So you'll be able to see, you observe that they'll be able to write everything that they know concerning the research that you're conducting. So there's no restriction uh, in terms of the way they're giving out the answers. Okay, so it helps us to be able to capture all those aspects or information that that we need in our research. Then let's look at some of the demerits or disadvantages of this type of research, which is the the qualitative one. So number one, we're saying that it is more difficult to determine the validity and the reliability of data to be collected. So in terms of the validity and the reliability of data, it's actually difficult to determine. And then apart from that, it's more objectivity actually involved in analyzing the data. So it's some kind of difficult for you to analyze data because when you give a questionnaire, for example, that is open, meaning you in the end you have a lot of information gathered, and that will take time. It will take time for you to be able to analyze all the information that you've collected from your respondents, and by doing that, you find that it's time consuming. So it's time consuming. And apart from that, open-ended questions can sometimes create quite a numerous data, which can actually take long to analyze, which actually the points that I've already talked about, and this will actually result into what we are calling as time consuming. So time will be consumed as you'll be able to do your data analysis because you've collected so much information that will require a lot of time for you to be able to analyze properly and obtain what you want. So these are some of the disadvantages or demerits of using this type of research. So we just have to understand that. And then let's also look at the merits of qualitative research. Okay, so number one, it allows the researcher to measure and analyze data. Okay, so when you're using a quantitative research rather, it will allow you to measure and analyze your data properly. Then apart from that, its primary objective is actually about if is about the final findings of the research. So it's more objective about the final findings of the research. And apart from that, this type of research can be used to prove a hypothesis. Okay, you can use quantitative research in order to prove a particular assumption about something. So its primary objective is actually to prove a hypothesis, okay, which comes maybe from scientific experiments. That is, if you are doing science. Then we also have disadvantages or demerits. So number one, it does not, for example, study things in a natural setting or discuss the meaning of things or discuss the meaning things for for different people. So a large sample of population must be studied for more accurate findings, and that's another disadvantage because you see, for you to be able to study a large sample, for you to you see, it also take time because it will require you to analyze a lot, to do a lot of analysis for you to be able to come up with accurate findings. Because when you carry out a quantitative research and you're using a smaller sample, you may not be able to get the accurate information that you need. So because you are dealing with a large sample, that will take a lot of time, and that has to be done because you can't have accurate findings if you disregard the aspect of having a large sample. And this is also, a disadvantage, because it will take you time, and in the process maybe you may be exhausted and things like that. I'm sure this helps, and thank you so much for following.